Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you already know that this is my now permanent mini-series I call Back to Basics, where I am getting back to a very limited number of cards as I do a deep dive into the Thoth system, the system created by Lady Frida Harris and Harris-Crowley. And we'll get to the cards. I've got a spread already laid out. But before we get to them, and I explained the layout just in case you are new here, I'd like us to think of a word that may be a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah? The title for this week's video is worry. That's not a happy word. And I think most of us, perhaps all of us, at one time or another, succumb to worry. What do you think about me? Do I look like a worrier? Do I come across as a worrier to you? Well, I grew up among worriers. Full disclosure, my family is a family of worriers. And I have taken on some of that as part of my cultural indoctrination, but I am also one who is able to put worry aside. And yet, there are times when I fall prey to my own instinct for worry. And it's not a happy thing. It's not something that's going to benefit me or anyone if I want to live life intentionally, because that worry, of course, separates me, pinches me off from my full potential access to the power of intention, right? Yeah, worry. It's not as bad as feeling powerless or depressed or unworthy, but still worry is a block. And interestingly, worry, the card for worry, shows up in the obstacles portion or the challenge portion of this spread. So that is why I called this week's video worry. I'm not asking us to worry. I'm not suggesting that we should worry about stuff, but rather it's something we want to give our attention to so that we can be aware of when we're doing it and make another choice. Does that make sense? And I think this week's spread is going to show us why worry is a potential for us in this week. So, friends, what are we going to do? We're going to look at the spread all together, and I'll break it down into its component parts briefly, and then we'll break the spread into two major bits and read those two bits together. Are you all ready, friends? Don't worry, let's go. If you were here last week, you know that, or you recognize that I'm using my greenie again. Yeah? I love it. I love it. And I have my eye on a 1983 version of the greenie, but we'll see what happens. I'm happy with this one for now. And you saw, just in case you are new here, there were 3 cards above, which you probably recognize are from the Thoth Tarot. And then there are 2 oracle cards below. The 3 cards above are in what we call a positional spread, right? From left to right, each card responds to either a question or a prompt. So the prompt for the first card of the 3-card spread is significance. What is the significant answer to the question that I ask every week? How can we live more intentionally in the coming week? The second card is the challenge, either positive or negative. And if you've been following along with this video, you know that this week's challenge is more of an obstacle, a negative challenge, right? The third card is advice. We've got some good advice coming up, I think. Now, the 2 cards below, they are from an oracle deck that is readily available, and one that I think is wonderful if you're thinking of adding astrology into your tarot readings. It gives an added little oomph to the astrological significance of the tarot reading that we're doing. So, it's a wonderful deck. I'll have a link to it below. And so they give, these two cards together will either give a recapitulation of the spread above, or will give us advice, or sometimes it'll take us into one tangent of the spread, if that makes sense. Sometimes, and I think this time, it's going to bring us into one specific aspect of the spread that could use a little bit more attention. So, those are the decks. That's the spread. Again, the link to the Oracle deck will be below. Unfortunately, greenies, you got to go and find them on your own. I found a couple on eBay. I purchased one from eBay. I've got my eye on another. So you can get greenies on eBay or other reseller sites. But I will put a link to the standard modern publication of the Thoth Tarot. It is more than adequate. It's the one that I first was introduced to, and I love it deeply, dearly, eternally. So, the greenie is just for fun. It's because I like the colors, right? It's still the same tarot. Okay, so you saw the spread. Now we'll look at the 3 cards above and we'll read those together. Are you ready? Here we go. The 3 cards you just saw again. You notice that they're all from the minor arcana, right? No majors, no court cards even, right? We had from left to right the 3 of wands, the 5 of discs, and the 6 of discs. So we got fire and earth. We don't have any air. We don't have any water in this spread. So it's our passion that begins it, and that leads to materialization, some manifestation, right? The earthy section of the spread. And interestingly, you're going to notice a lot of Taurus running through this week's spread, and a little bit of Aries for good measure. Yeah, we got Taurus and Aries, which are interesting because they're both the beginning of the zodiacal year, right? We start off with Aries with fire, and we move right into Taurus with earth at the beginning of the year, the zodiacal year. So, here we are. And the first card you saw was the 3 of wands. Now, you've heard me talk about the Emperor card before, right? And how the Emperor card hurts my eyes, especially in the modern printing of it, because of all the orange and yellow and red. And you might be thinking to yourself, so he must hate this, he must feel uncomfortable when he sees this card. And interestingly, I do not. And yes, it's all yellow and red and orange, and still, this card does not bother my eyes, and the Emperor card really does. Now, interesting things, yeah. Emperor is associated with Aries. This card is also associated with Aries, so that might explain the orange, red, and yellow, right? The 3 of wands is associated with the sun in Aries, which gives us the second decanate. No, it should be the 3rd decanate of Aries. No, the 2nd decanate, right. Sorry, little bit of brain flatulence going on there. The 2nd decanate of Aries, which means that we've got the fixed aspect of cardinal fire's vital attributes entering our spread, entering our natal charts, yeah? The fixed aspect, which would be the Leo house, or the Leo decanate of the house of Aries, right? And just in case you don't know what that means, I haven't talked about it for a while, but each of the zodiacal signs, there are 12 of them, are 30 degrees. And each of those 30 degrees is given a domicile. Yeah, so it depends on the zodiacal framework that you use. I frankly do not ascribe 100% to the zodiacal associations that were created by the Order of the Golden Dawn. Yeah, I agree more with earlier continental tarot, esoteric attributions. I agree more with traditional triplicities, which means that, for me, the most accurate associations of the decanates for the cards would be, for cards associated with Aries, the first card would be Aries, the second card would be the 2nd decanate of Leo, the 3rd card would be the 3rd decanate, which would be Sagittarius, yeah? First decanate, would be, again, Aries of Aries. Second decanate would be Leo of Aries. And the third decanate would be Sagittarius of Aries. All the fire signs in each of the fire signs. That makes the most sense to me. So, this card does follow the Order of the Golden Dawn's associations, and yet we still have the Sun in Aries, which for me gives us the second decanate of Aries, which means fixed aspect of cardinal fire, right? So we've got a little bit of stubbornness within that let's get going aspect of Aries. And because it's the second decanate, we have a complement, which is, guess what? It's Mars, of course. Mars is domiciled in Aries. It's Mars in Taurus. So this is our first taste of Taurus in the complement, in this zodiacal aspect of this spread. So what is the Three of Wands for Crowley? Yeah, it's the first and fixed establishment of a situation. Notice, first cardinal, fixed. First and fixed aspect of the establishment of a situation. The establishment of something, some creation, some passion. So there is early success here, but there's still work to do, right? We're only at number 3. There's a whole bunch of numbers after that. There's still work to do. We want to keep working, but there is the first success with 3s. It's the importance of having a high value on what is intended as well. Now, even in the Smith-Waite deck, if we think about that, right? The Ace of Wands is that first burst of inspiration, the burst of passion. The second is where we visualize, we plan, we see where can we go with this. And the third is setting off on the voyage. If we think of the story of the minor arcana for the Smith-Waite deck. So, the importance of having a high value on what is intended and then also moving in that direction. So we're asked to move or make a stand by our own will. And sometimes that movement is to, yes, I put I plant my flag on this hill, right? I make a stand because this is what I believe in. That's an action. Sometimes it's actual movement, but sometimes it's, yes, this is it, right? So that's all part of this card, which is called what? I forgot to give you the name. It's called virtue. The virtue of acting on plans, the virtue of continuing working after first successes. And Crowley says the original idea of the ace and the will of the 2 has now been formulated in structure, and further, it is now possible to interpret in terms of character. So we got that initial passion, fire, inspiration of the ace, and even with Crowley, we have the will of the 2. This is what I'm going to do, making the choice, and then the virtue of acting on that will. Because we have character, we have virtue. We follow our decisions. We act on what we've decided to do. We're not slothful. We're not lackadaisical. We're not wishy-washy. We don't make just meaningless decisions, right? When we make a decision, we stick to it. That's a virtuous thing to do. So that's our first bit of advice for this week, living an intentional life. It's to do all of those things, to be virtuous, to enjoy the successes that we have available to us and keep doing the work, right? Give importance and value to what we have intended, and either move or make the stand as the circumstances call for. We want to be fixed in our cardinal aspects of our passions and our intentions and our desires and our sexuality. That's all part of the fire element, right? So, what is the next card? The next card, oh, and in this card, yeah, we see the power behind those three wands, right? That burst of energy that's still there. And yet the wands are not overpowered by the energy. They're still there, powerfully placed, right? Lovely, lovely card. Next card, also lovely, but not the same, right? This is the Five of Discs. And the Five of Discs is titled Worry. And it's associated with Mercury in Taurus. What does that mean? Well, Mercury is associated with, or is domiciled, naturally domiciled in Virgo. So we have the second decanate of Taurus, right? The first decanate of Taurus would be Taurus, the second decanate would be Virgo, where Mercury lives, and then the third decanate would be Cancer with Saturn, right? So this is the second decanate of Taurus, which also gives us, well, which first gives us the mutable aspect of fixed Earth. So we've gone from the fixed aspect of cardinal fire to the mutable aspect of fixed Earth. Fixed Earth is that's kind of stubbornness, that I'm doing things my way, but the mutable aspect of Virgo, which is, yeah, let's clean this up, let's organize it, let's put things in its places. Yeah, so we've got that mutable aspect of our strident Tauran nature here. And some qualities of people who have Mercury in Taurus, just to say, are intelligence, but they're a little conservative and they can be plotters. Yeah, conservative. I've got the stuff that I need and I want to put it in boxes, but I'm not looking to add more stuff, right? Now, because it's the second decanate of Taurus, we also have a complement of, guess what? We have Venus in Aries. So the first card we had Aries and Taurus, Aries being the main zodiacal sign and then the complement of Taurus. Here we have the main zodiacal sign of Taurus and the complement of Aries. And we also have complementary pairs here, right? In the first card, in the complement for this card we had Mars, and the complement for this card we have Venus, and they are a couple, right? So we've got that too. We've got couples in different houses, and it's all very interesting. Venus would naturally be in Taurus, but she's in her partner's house, and Mars would not naturally be in Aries, but he's in his partner's house. So there's discomfort here. It's not displacement, it's not being in a stranger's house, it's being in my boyfriend's or girlfriend's or non-binary partner's friend's abode, and so I'm not completely at home there, but still there is a sense of potential belonging there as well. The needing to work out my placement in this new space or this different space. So here Venus is working out her placement in Aries, and a little bit before, Mars had to work out his placement in and his way of working in Taurus. So all of that in the as we look at this card through all of that information, what do we see here? Now, the mutable aspect of fixed Earth does not sound so bad. And yet Crowley calls this card worry, right? And you see these huge, huge gears, and they look kind of stuck, don't they? It's hard to see how these gears will work together. We also see 5 elements here. In each one of the discs, there's a different element. Yeah? So it's all very interesting. There's a lot of fire behind the 5 gears as well. So this card is a card of stability on the edge of disruption. Or the disruption has begun, but it's not reached its climax yet. It's an earthquake in slow motion. Slow seismic shift of attachments. Because torrents are kind of attached to the stuff that they have, which isn't surprising. And it's interesting because I didn't feel it, but apparently we had an earthquake here in Korea today, maybe a 4. It was far away, I didn't feel it, but I got a very loud notification on my phone. Just a side note. So this card being here in the challenge section, the obstacle-ish challenge section is interesting. Yeah, that seismic shift, disruption, either about to begin or has begun slowly. And so we feel the ground slipping away maybe. And that sense of ground slipping away is what causes our worry. Something might be taken for granted in this card as well. Or even forgotten about. So that thing that is taken for granted or forgotten about may be shifting because we're not giving it its attention. Maybe shifting out of our experience, or might be transmuting into something else. And it's uncomfortable, it's unsettling. We may want to slow down gradually and even shift course while doing that. We might want to take our foot off of the accelerator, which we placed on. We started putting our foot on the accelerator with the 3 of Wands, right? We might want to take our foot off of the accelerator and not completely go in a different direction, but rather shift course so that we might be able to move around, above, or in a slightly different direction to avoid whatever worry is on our path. Because things are shifting to a different state. So we might also want to strip down to essentials. That might be another choice. Instead of worrying, instead of taking our foot off the accelerator, because we might not be moving all that fast yet anyways. Instead of doing that, we might want to strip down so that our load is lighter. And maybe wait a little bit before actually beginning the next step of the 3 of Wands. We might want to be aware of worry. We might want to be aware of our resources. Are they beginning to be drained or depleted? All things just so that we don't have to worry about them. If we don't check, the worry will grow. If we check, we know what's going on, we can do something about it. Virtuously, as this card is suggesting, right? And so, the next card is what? The next card is also an earth card. So actually we have no elemental indignities here, right? Earth, fire, they are copacetic. They don't build each other up, nor do they tear each other down. And we have the 6 of discs here. And in the 6 of discs, we have the moon in, yes, Taurus. Another uplifting of Taurus. But this Tauran card is much more positive. Yeah? And people who have the moon in Taurus have the ability to unconsciously manifest resources and experiences. They can feel comfortable and secure. And those things are important to the moon in Tauran person. Yeah? Security, comfort are important to them. And yet they can still unconsciously manifest the stuff that they need and enjoy and the things that they want to experience. So the 6 of discs, we can connect to the 6 of discs, and this is a beautiful card here. We see the white rose in the center. Yeah, that's the white rose. This, let me say this. Okay, so you see hopefully you can see, in the center of this card, it's this in blue and white. Or, let me see, gray and white, I should say. Gray and white on the front. So we've got the rosy cross. And we've got which is what? It's growth and it's success. It could be instant and pure success. But that rosy cross reminds us that we want to avoid attachment to those things which are transitory, because success is, according to Crowley, and truly always transitory. All of our experiences are transitory. And if we get success, sometimes we can attach ourselves to it. I am the successful one. I am the one who has accomplished this. And then when that success has moved into the past, we can then lose part of our identity, right? But we don't want to shy away from success either. We want to enjoy it. We want to feel pleasure in it, because this card is titled Success. Now, this association with the sixth Sephirah, which is Tiphereth, and is the heart of the tree of life, is associated with beauty, right? It's the heart of the tree. It connects the heart with the monad, with the undivided top of the tree, with Kether and Ein Sof. Yeah, that is directly connected to those things. Tiphereth, the heart, and the monad. And it's also connected, interestingly, to all of the other Sephiroth as well. So this is the heart of the earth suit. It's the heart of the manifested cross. It's the heart of the manifested tree. And that is success. So we want work here. Yes, we're again suggested. This is the advice. Work. Work without lust for result, and we will have success. We're suggested to try to grasp this success. We're suggested that trying to grasp this success will cause it to vanish. If we try to, again, attach to it, grasp it, get a hold of it, it'll slip through our fingers. So instead, we enjoy its presence and we don't try to grab onto it. We want to enjoy manifested or financial success when it is there. Yes, enjoy it. Revel in it. Move in that direction without grasping it or identifying with it. Enjoy the quiet time too, when things appear balanced. That balanced tip of the adjustment card, right? The adjustment card, the sword pointing up. We're there. We can be there at the tip sometimes and enjoy that moment of absolute balance. That's what is also suggested here. And if we do that, we enjoy what we're doing. We enjoy being where we are. We enjoy the quiet of balance. We enjoy doing the work. We don't attach ourselves to the success. We don't lust after the success either. We allow it to manifest. That is the advice. And allowing, if we're in that state, how connected are we? How open are we to the power of intention? We are absolutely open to the power of intention, which will guarantee success. And then when we if we attach to it, then it can start slipping away. And then what will happen if we feel it starting to slip away? What will happen is this, right? So this is the potential obstacle-like challenge. This is the advice, which flows very nicely from this card, right? Without this worry intervening, this card to this card, wonderful, wonderful flow. Do you agree? If you do, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to, if you don't, let me know in the comments below too. I'd love to hear from you. So friends, we do have 2 oracle cards to look at, and let me show you those cards again right now. Above, the 3 cards from the tarot were a nice, neat zodiacal package, right? We had Aries, we had Taurus. Now we had a couple of paired up planets of Venus and Mars. Here below, we do have a little bit of a hint of Aries again, because remember, Aries is the first card, right? The Aries was with the 3 of Wands, the Sun in Aries. So the first card, it was Saturn in Aries, which is a little bit of a pair with the Sun. Now for me, when we think of paired planets, Mercury and Jupiter for me are a pair. Venus and Mars are a pair. The Sun and the Moon are a pair in what do we call that? A polyamorous association with Saturn. So the Sun and Saturn, the Moon and Saturn, they're at opposite ends of this of the zodiacal wheel, so they are partners. And Saturn needs a partner, right? So Saturn partners up with the pair of the Sun and the Moon. So that ramble gives us Saturn in Aries, which I guess would be a little bit of a reminder of the Sun in Aries with the Three of Wands. So we got that for risk, but here it's risk instead of virtue. And then we had the Sun in Scorpio. No, I'm sorry, the Sun in Virgo with the health card. So we had risk and health paired up. The planet Saturn with Aries and the Sun with Virgo. So here's the first card. Let's just get into it. Yeah? What do we see here? We see a boy with his possessions slung over his shoulder as he passes a bear. Right? That's up at the top. Below that, we see three different things. There's a Native American fetish, which gives us protection from danger. Let me show you what I mean by the Native American fetish. That's this thing here. Yeah, that's a Native American fetish. It's something that is a magical item used for protection, right? And this one is used for protection from danger. We also have a key, right? Which equals Aries for constantly opening doors according to the creator of this deck, which is interesting. And then we have a tree with stars on it. You see those? And those stars are the fruits of Martian courage. Okay? Okay. So, what is this card? It's initiative and individuality and activities of self-control. So we take initiative, right? We have our individual desires, our individual decisions, our individual free will, and we have self-control. Yeah, we're not bouncing off the walls like Mercury and Gemini might be. We also have a little bit more self-control than Martian Aries combination would have, because they tend not to have a lot of stick-to-itiveness, right? They don't stick to their decisions for long-term projects. As a Leo, or even as a Leo might, right? So we have self-control here with Saturn, and disciplined, energetic work make achievements possible. Discipline, self-control, all because of Saturn. And the Saturnian influence here in Aries is actually beneficial, according to the creator of this deck. We're asked to speak and act when the decision is already made. Don't talk about things before we've made our decisions. Don't hash it out with friends. Figure out what we want to do, who we want to become, where we want to go, and then talk about it. Right? A lot of our plans are foiled by our incessant gabbing about them before they are fully developed. So that's what we're cautioned against here. But still, we want to have a sense of humor in the work that we're doing, in our actual job work, but also the other work that we're doing. We want to relax and take a measured risk. Now, we want to take chances, but not crazy, stupid chances, a measured risk. This might work, this might not work. I think it could work. Let's try. That kind of attitude is indicated in this card. So we might want passion. We do want passion. We might want patience with Saturn's restrictive common sense. that need to be measured, right? To have self-control, to be disciplined, can be restrictive and a little irritating with our Aries natures here. So we want to be patient with that. And maybe find an outlet, a safe outlet for those possible, potential pent-up frustrations with having to be so disciplined and so careful and so, what did I say? Self-controlled. So have a fun outlet, but then in work, in the things that we want to do, have the self-control and be patient. Take risks, but measured risks. Yeah, those things will help Saturn in Aries be beautifully successful. And those ideas do complement that Three of Wands card, I think, very nicely. Don't you agree? So the next card here is very interesting. It's 6, it's health. We have, again, the Sun in Virgo. And these three women, the three servants, tend to a princess. And above, above, in front of the princess's face, we have a pentacle. And that pentacle, you see the sun above, of course, but that pentacle is a symbol for health and fortune. So we've got health and fortune flowing out of our Saturn in Aries card, which is wonderful. So we can make order and system out of apparent chaos. Wonderful thing with that self-discipline and self-control of the Saturn in Aries card. We can make the order that we want to have here. We have material well-being, and that is needed for fulfilling and organizing our work lives. So, we also want to take care of our health. Now, taking care of our health right now will be of great advantage to us. We want to be careful of being critical of others who might not be as knowledgeable as we are. We have areas where we feel like we have, and we probably do have, specific expertise and knowledge. And have you ever felt frustrated when somebody doesn't know what you know? Don't want to go there this week, yeah? Do not want to go there. We want to be patient with those who don't know as much. So we don't want to nag at people who are less organized than we want them to be, than we want us to be. Now, we want to be more understanding of others, because that stress that we cause for ourselves will, if we are critical, if we do nag people, it will damage our well-being, right? So we don't want to do that. We want to be valued, but in humility. We have a desire to be of service to others as well. And we want to be gentle and generous to who they are and where they are. And if they're not up to what we expect them to be able to do, then we want to be supportive of them in their evolution. So we want to we want to put life in order, especially our diets, our nutrition, and our health. We want to keep our health because we will need our physical well-being to fulfill and organize the work that we want to do. That is possible in this card, right? That is possible in those three cards above. So I think these two cards here are diving into that Three of Wands virtue especially, but also a little bit the Six of Discs to get our success. Do you see how that works? Does that make sense to you? I hope it does. If it does, again, let me know in the comments below. If it does not, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. How would you read these cards? Would you read them differently? Let me know. And if you want a reading from me, my email address is below, the hangedmaninthemoon@gmail.com. Shoot me an email. We'll get you a reading. Or you can let me know in the comments. Please give me a reading and we will get you a reading. Not here on YouTube. We'll connect on a different platform. So there's a little more privacy for you. That's important, I believe. And what? Yes, thank you. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up button, and thank you for subscribing. That helps get the channel out in the public sphere so that people who are interested in this content can find us. And also, I want to wish you, as always, love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.